Okay, you guys, I just finished watching the Love is Blind Season 7 1 through 6 episodes, and I have some thoughts about what is going to happen in the end with the couples. So we are going to talk about compatibility challenges. We're going to talk about a little bit about the drama that happened during these first 6 episodes. We're going to make some predictions about who is going to make it down the altar at the end. So stick around for all of that. If you haven't seen the first 6 episodes, I recommend not watching this video because I will probably spoil it for you. If you enjoy Love is Blind just like I do, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and hit the thumbs up button so I know to make more videos like this one. Before we jump into discussing the couples and what we think is going to happen, I want to kind of put out a little disclaimer that I know that this is a show and we probably aren't seeing the full picture of everything because the producers have to make it interesting, and I'm sure there's a lot of footage that we haven't seen, so it is possible that the cast is portrayed in a certain light. I'm not going to discredit that. The second thing is we all know that they're consuming alcohol, and alcohol can intensify your emotions, as well as all of them are under immense pressure and stress trying to figure this thing out as soon as possible, which heightens their emotions, their sensitivity, and could make them make irrational decisions more. This video is not meant to be a dig at anybody because honestly, like I just said, we might not know the full picture. Nevertheless, it is quite an interesting show to watch, and you can actually learn a lot about people's behaviors, human nature, social relations, personality and compatibility challenges that they face. And I also love watching the first reveal because body language never lies. So I really enjoy watching all of this stuff go on. I think there's a reason why the show is doing so well. And I have to say that the producers did a really good job choosing the cast for this season, and I'm really hopeful for some of the couples, but we have yet to see how things progress as they step out of the honeymoon phase. Anyway, so let's talk about the pairs. Taylor and Garrett. So far, we don't see any issues with them and their compatibility, but to be fair, they had very little screen time compared to some of the other individuals in the show. So I'm interested to see whether or not those issues are going to develop as the couples move in together. But so far, it seems like they really like each other and they're doing really well so far. This couple really reminds me of Natalie and Shane from season 2. It's kind of weird. It feels like they're like another version of that couple from season 2. And maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. And I really hope they have a happier ending because I feel like they could work it out if they chose to. But I'm going to guess that they have a 60% chance of actually getting married. That is because we literally know so little that it's kind of hard to make assumptions at this moment. I really like that they communicate well in the pods. I really like that he respects her decision not to share her mother's name, which would kind of give away her ethnicity, and she wants this to just be a pure, like, truly blind experience. So that was kind of cool to see the way that he took that. Honestly, I kind of felt awkwarded out for both of them during that part, but overall, I think that they do have a high success rate. It's just we know so little that it's hard to say at this moment. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think that they are going to work out together or not? The second couple we have is Ashley and Tyler. These two seem to be very compatible, and I really like their body language during the first reveal when they first see each other, and then afterwards as they are enjoying time together in Cabo. It seems like they genuinely like each other, and again, same as with the first couple, we see very few issues that they might have. For the most part, they're like really reassuring towards each other, and when they talk amongst themselves, like the boys talk to the boys, the girls talk to the girls, it seems like they really do like each other. And that comment that Ashley made about not even caring about her mother's opinion and their best friends kind of shows you that she really does like the guy. So I'm going to predict that they have an 80% chance of actually getting married, and we'll see how things go. Maybe there are some curveballs that are going to come up, we'll see. But so far, I really like them together. So I'm rooting for them. Hopefully they work out. Our next couple is Hannah and Nick. Obviously, they've kind of been stealing the drama. They've been in the center of it. We know that they are both kind of strong characters, and I would say Hannah is more so than Nick is. I kind of get the impression that Nick would say what Hannah would want him to say, and then maybe go do the opposite thing, which is what he wants to do in the background, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me that that would be his first natural instinct if she had like a strong opinion against something he wanted to do. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing, it's just part of his personality. We'll see how things turn out, but I do not think that this couple is going to make it past the altar. We know that they are both the youngest couple and the youngest individuals in the group, so that kind of goes against the probability of them working out. As much as these strong and kind of like impulsive things that they do when they are trying to communicate. There was like a scene in Cabo where Hannah says that she would get the ick if he went and rode a duck. And then we see that there's like this whole drama play out. And so we get to see more of her values and her insecurities, as well as his reaction to that situation. And I genuinely think that this couple is struggling the most, partially because I don't think that they're compatible for each other in many ways. But the first signs were like when they had the first reveal, and you could just tell by their body language that they did not feel comfortable around each other. She was like sitting like this and like leaning away from him, and then he's just sitting there like stick straight, like he's kind of like not into her, but he is, and he doesn't know himself. So that was like really interesting to see. It almost like made us uncomfortable as the viewer to be watching this first interaction happen the way it did. I think that if they really wanted to work through it, they possibly could be compatible, because they obviously had an emotional connection, but with the physical layer being added onto it, it does create its own challenges, and that is what we observe. If they did end up together, I would assume that they would go through some rough patches in their relationship to maybe eventually end up in a place where they can kind of accept each other. It does not look like this couple like made it there yet. I feel like they are still learning about themselves, very much so, and so it's hard for them to kind of view the other person without their own biases, if that makes sense. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. I'm actually really curious to know what your opinion is about Nick and Hannah. Our next couple is Monica and Steven. At first glance, I was like, okay, this couple actually seems interestingly compatible, until there was like a moment after the party where they all saw each other and they mingled, and it was very obvious that Monica didn't want Steven to keep talking. And I kind of feel like this isn't going to be a couple that makes it to the end. We do see some snippets of like him, I think, texting his ex or something. I don't know, we'll have to see in the next episode when it comes out on the 9th. But I don't think that this couple is going to say I do at the end, because she comes from a very different background than he does. And I'm talking about like education and stuff that matters to them, like priorities in life, even though she kind of says like maybe have been looking at the wrong things. But I think that those values are deeper in Monica's ideology of the world and her perception of what's important. I think it's deeper than she thinks it is, and I think she's kind of caught up in her feelings of like, wow, I've never had a connection like this, where she's kind of willing to overlook some of the things that will later become a problem in the relationship. Let me know if you agree with me on this one. But I also feel like Steven is kind of like overly sensitive for her. I kind of even feel like Monica has more masculine sides than Steven does, and I'm not sure that's a bad thing. It's just, it might not help them to work out as a couple. Our next couple is Alex and Tim. And honestly, on the outside, they look very like well for each other. Like I feel like they match each other. But when you start to like watch their behavior and notice that she's kind of annoyed by him a lot, I don't think that is going to help them connect and have closeness. And then he kind of just like doesn't know when to stop. And don't get me wrong, I actually think Tim is like one of the most mature men on the show, but maybe it was the way that they edited the show. I don't know, but for me, like the fact that he kept bringing in his sisters that obviously passed away, which is really sad and I feel bad for him, but like the fact that he kept bringing that into their connection, into their relationship, felt like he was projecting onto Alex a lot. And I don't know that that is like a very healthy way to start the relationship, and how that's going to play out later on, like even 5 years down the line, right? Alex has like a rebellious side, and we kind of see that when they actually talk about her being short-tempered in Cabo. Like, she mentioned something about her being younger and her being like really easily irritated. And I think that Tim is just such a mellow guy. He wants to like vibe, he wants to have a good time, he wants to joke around and like be the man without having to do too much. And then she kind of has a sharp personality. I don't know that they are going to be the most compatible. With them, I'm going to say that it's a 50-50% chance of them working out. If this couple made it past the altar, they would need to work on their communication. We see that they had like a offset fight at the very end of episode 6. We see that they had a fight at the very end of episode 6. She does her best to try to patch things up because it's obvious that she cares about him and she wants the relationship to progress, and he has his reservations. If this couple doesn't find a healthy way of communicating their needs so that they don't disrespect the other person, like they both mentioned, I think that they will not last. It could be that they are irrationally responding to things because of the high pressure, high stakes situation, and like watching other people like fall in love and be together, and then questioning whether or not they have a connection that's as strong as their friends. I think that definitely weighs on their own relationship. So I really hope that Alex and Tim work out because I really like them together, but we'll see how things go. Maurissa and Ramses are the most infatuated in love couple ever, and I absolutely love Marissa's personality. She seems like such a fun, bubbly, positive person, and Ramses is like, he kind of says that he's sensitive a lot, but we see this like reserved persona. I obviously do think that they are extremely compatible in every way, but no relationship comes without challenges. So I'm really curious to see what kind of challenges this couple faces, but they obviously have a lot of built up passion and there's a lot of mutual fondness and respect towards each other. So I'm really rooting for this couple too, and out of all the couples, I feel like this couple has the highest success rate, but I might be wrong because usually what ends up happening is the couples that are the closest end up almost breaking up right before or deciding not to get married on the day of. So I don't know, I hope I'm not jinxing it, but I really hope they work out. The last couple that we saw in the pods that didn't come to Mexico would be Brittany and Leo, because they made it in the pods, they got engaged, and then shortly after they ended their engagement, they didn't end up going to Mexico. It was like, she did not like him. We could obviously see that when they had the reveal, and it was really interesting to watch like her body language and then him like completely just like going for it, right? I don't think that Leo was compatible with Hannah either in the real world. Maybe in the pods, yes, but in the real world, I don't think they would have worked out. We'll see how things go, because oftentimes when a couple doesn't work out, then they try out their other matches in the future, so we'll see how that goes. If Brittany had stayed with Leo, I think it would have been purely for superficial reasons. And not to throw shade on Brittany, because I actually like her, but with him, it feels like you could see that there was no connection, there was no attraction, and just like all the awkward tension and weirdness was just coming out of her like there was no tomorrow. You could see that he was so infatuated by her, like it was clearly one-sided, and I think he was coming on too strong for her, laying it on too thick, especially with the PDA, and she was just kind of like, whoa, back up, buddy. And you know, like when people feel like they are being pushed into something, or someone is trying to make their decisions for them, they kind of tend to pull back, even though they might have actually chose that thing, but because someone was like forcing something onto them, they automatically feel like they need to like step back. So I got that sense from Brittany. I am really curious what couple you are rooting for the most, what couple you think is going to make it at the end. If there are several, let me know in the comments below. This is like one of my favorite shows to watch, and it is so closely related to what I actually do, which is relationship coaching. That might explain one of the reasons why I enjoy the show. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to let me know by hitting the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to this channel. I'll see you guys in my next video, and I want to wish you the very best in your love life.